Yes, welcome, come well to another portal, another show entitled Amias, as I am, most importantly, as you are. I am your host, Amias Asiam. As master, I am self. As self, I am master. So are you. Today's show is entitled, What is Responsibility and Accountability? What is responsibility and accountability? What does it mean to be responsible and to be accountable, or to be held, or to be responsible and be held accountable for your actions and your reactions? It's going to be a light video today. It's going to go down a few doorways, and let's just touch upon this real quick. Now, let's look at the word responsibility. The first word we're going to touch upon is responsibility. The second word is going to be accountability. But the first word we're going to touch upon is responsibility and the principles that responsibility possesses. Responsibility literally means the ability to respond. And it's not about the question about, do I have the ability to respond? No, you do. But are you leaving yourself able to respond? To respond to what? To respond to your reactions or your reactionary body or your reactionary program. This is responsibility. Responsibility means ability to respond. Yes, you have the ability to respond, but are you utilizing that ability? Is the question. Responsibility or the ability to respond means to cease reaction or reactionary behavior. But for what reason? In order to access the realm and intelligence of response. So to cease reaction and or reactions or reactionary behavior. For what? To be able to access the realm and intelligence of response. To be in response mode, the mode of response at all times. And if not at all times, most times. If not most times, at least sometimes. This is you getting in touch with your invisible nature. Because remember, metaphysics, that which becomes visible becomes vulnerable. Meaning, every time you are in reaction mode, you are being the body. You are being the the epitome of humanity, the human nature, survival mode, the need to be correct, right. The need to be right and righteousness are two totally different things. Right and righteous, two totally different things. So you're not reacting so much. Reacting and reaction is actually a chemical response. You're not just one same soup, one same chemical soup, one same chemical formula. You're constantly playing with your alchemy. Remember, alchemy, chemet, chemician. It just means black. It doesn't mean Africa. It just means to be indigenous. First order entities. You play with your alchemy. You don't remain one constant chemical formula. You play with many formulas. Formula A doesn't work, try Formula B. Formula B doesn't work, try Formula C. We are scientists by nature. And I told you, science is synonymous with the word seance. What is your seance? What is your science? Your science is different from my science. My seance is different from your seance. But we play with these seances. We play with these senseis. Science, seance, sensei. We are the teacher that teaches ourselves. We are the teacher that reaches ourselves. So always being in reaction mode or reacting sporadically, impulsively, compulsively, That is one constant formula, one constant chemical just in rotation. It's a cycle, a cyclic nature. You become this cycle, you become the human body. This is a realm based upon a cycle, the moon, the sun, the moon, the sun, the moon, the sun. It's a cycle. Your eyeball, each one of your eyeballs is symbolic of the moon and the sun. So we see cycle. And it's human nature. We see cycle, therefore it's very easy to be cycle if you don't have awareness. If you're not responding to your prior reactions. Because then you're just stuck in reaction mode. You don't know how to respond. You've never learned or practiced responsive or responsiveness. One constant chemical all the time, one cycle. You become a cyclic program. This is how you get the sickle. The sickled cell in one's body is a cycling cell. That's what a sickle cell is. A sickle is a cycled cell. So many people may think they're healthy in certain ways or at their most optimum peak of health, and they may look like it. The skin may be pure. They may be in good shape for their size and their height. But it does not mean that they're not creating a sickled cell chemistry within their body. Remember, the sickled cell doesn't it doesn't show on the surface as you're gonna see something on somebody's skin that shows that they are sickled celled or sickle celled or cyclic celled. It's something inside that hides from the vision. It's not visible. So yes, you may look nice in the mirror, you may have good skin, you may be a good size for your height. Okay, your nutrients, proteins may be here and there, but the cellular nature may be cycling and it may become sickle, and you may have sickled cells within your chemistry, especially if you have a very cyclic nature. And this is being the reactionary one, the one that's always reacting, or 9 out of 10, or at least 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 of the times that they know that they should be responding, they're reacting. And then reacting, of course, leads to verbal abuse, then this emotional abuse, and then it becomes physical abuse. And last but not least, there's violence or there's a death. Because the person is dying on the inside, so they seek to kill someone on the outside because they're dying on the inside. As within, so without. Reactionary, constant, 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 constant reaction, in reaction mode. The responding nature is the beingness. The reaction or the reactive one is the doingness. This is why the reaction always seeks to do something, punch a wall, kick a wall. It's always seeking to action. It's the actionary. That's why it's a reaction. It's a doing of a same action, a reaction, which means a repeating action, a redoing action. It's in a cycle, a dog chasing its tail. So those of you who say I'm conscious, I'm aware, I'm this, I'm that, you may want to check that sometimes. Just possibly, probably, maybe. Consider it as a factor it in that you may not be as aligned and in sync and balanced and centered as you think that you are. This is why I tell every time my students, my trainees, people I come across, relationships are the greatest school. Why? Because these are people that you allow or that you are emotionally and psychologically connected to. Emotionally and psychologically connected to, which means what? Which means that they have the access to trigger you at any time and any moment. And if you get triggered, then you become reactionary. But you're supposed to take that as an opportunity. When you get triggered, you take that as a divine opportunity to become your best when you are at your worst. Like I always tell everybody, you can only be your best when you are at your worst. That's why relationships are the greatest school to self-gnosis, self-awareness. It's the most greatest school the most greatest mind institution, emotional institution, mental institution, biological institution to challenge the self. Am I going to react or am I going to respond? Because before reaction becomes an action, you feel the chemical in you. Your blood gets hot, your skin gets hot, you start perspiring, you start sweating. Your underarms, underneath your shirt gets wet, start perspiring. And then you're permeating this anger, this rage. They can see it in your face, they can see it in your bodily posture. They can see how you may twist your mouth or frown your eyebrow or look at them a certain way. They already know an attack follows. Reaction is reattacking or attacking in attack mode, which means that you have become external, which means that you lack the internal guidance. And when you become visible, you become vulnerable. So the craft or the art of response is to become the transparent one. The art of transparency and invisibility, to become the translucent intelligence. And that's what we are, right? We're spiritual, we're soul. So why the hell are we being so damn visible and physical and external? For what? It's opposite of our nature. It's opposite of our origin, correct? Correct. Responsibility also means to remain in response mode. I've touched upon that. Respond, this is very important to understand. The word respond is synonymous to the word respire or respiration, like the respiratory system, meaning to breathe. So you can't be responsible until you learn how to correctly breathe. Most people are just inhaling and exhaling. But to breathe is an art and a craft. Like some people are just inhaling and exhaling, aren't living. You don't live until you become conscious and aware. And then a different form of living graduates when you become self aware, which is the most pristine aspect of life or living or existing. Self awareness, not necessarily consciousness and awareness, but self awareness is the graduation from living into being life. There's a divine order. We don't know this divine order. So we're just walking, inhaling, and exhaling, but we're not living and breathing. It's two different things. Like some people drink liquid and some people eat water. I always ask my people, are you drinking liquid or are you eating water? Big difference. We think these things are the same thing and they're not. Respond, the word respond is synonymous to the word respiration, meaning to breathe. To breathe how? To breathe gracefully. Learning how to determine the speed and pace of your breath and your breathing for certain respiratory reasons that deal with the anatomy of your physical body. And it does certain things. Every cause has an effect. So it means to breathe gracefully. And breathing gracefully massages the heart soothingly. This is where breathing, because when I'm doing this, when I'm inhaling, the lungs expand and it massages the heart. The sides of the heart get massaged when I inhale with my lungs. When I exhale, it relieves the heart to expand to its open fullness. When I inhale, it squeezes the heart in the middle to massage the sides of it. When I exhale, it expands the heart again to become full, become open-hearted, which means become open-minded. There's a divine order to things. So to respond means respiration, which means to breathe. To breathe how? To breathe gracefully. And breathing gracefully relaxes the sympathetic and somatic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. The soma body, the semi body, the sematawi, the initiative system in the body. the yogic body. Not necessarily doing yoga, no, just the yogic. Yogic or yuga just means top and bottom, bottom and top, to govern the lower and upper kingdoms of the body, of the king's dome, the king's mind, the king's domain, the kin, because king just comes from kin. So you're making your top a kin of your bottom, you're making your bottom a kin of your top. Okay? And the ing just means the ongoing. So the heart soothingly, it gracefully massages the heart in a soothing mode, which neutralizes impulsive and compulsive nerve reactions. Somatic nervous system, sympathetic nervous system. This is when you begin to have sympathy for yourself. You have compassion and sympathy for yourself. Therefore, you begin to have compassion and sympathy for your mate, meaning that you don't want to throw your garbage in their garbage bag. You're not trying to vomit on them. Your problems, your issues, your imbalances, your ailments. You're gonna have compassion for that lower nature. You're having compassion for your lower three chakras, and you're addressing them by breathing gracefully and massaging the heart soothingly. And then when all of this goes through a graduatory process, then you are now able to access the realm of response. With all this stuff happening internally, who the hell has time to conflict and argue and be in animal mode externally all the time? You have all this internal work. And knowing just how of a spectacle, I don't want to say special, but of a divine spectacle that you are internally, it makes everything external become secondary and third and fourth and fifth and sixth. You are the most important, and the I within the you is the most relevant. Not the you, but the I that's covered over by the you. The identity covering the entity which possesses the energy. So even the graduation process is not really a propelling forward, but a retreating inward, to make it understand a little more clearly. And this is when you become less impulsive, you become less compulsive. Impulsive and compulsive is reactionaries. Those are reactionary bodies. But when you begin to breathe a certain way, you massage the heart gracefully, and the heart begins to soothe out itself, dealing with the lungs rubbing against the sides of the heart, and then the heart inflating itself. This wholeness, this wholeness, inflation, the three kings, which is also the triangle as well, the Trinity. The Trinity is the lungs and the heart. That's also another form of the Trinity, which is over tens of thousands, 80,000, hundreds of thousands of years ago that we've been practicing. We got to get back to our shit. And we got to get back to it now, in relationships, in family, dealing with kids, anything, society, whatever, whoever, wherever, whenever. You need to get back to this immediately. It is to stop reactions in order to look back at prior destructive actions. For what reason? In order to begin reconstructing a more balanced and aware version of yourself. Because when you create a more balanced and reconstruct a more balanced and aware version of yourself, that yourself introduces you to the self, which is the responsive nature, the responsive intelligence, the one which responds and no longer reacts as much. Because you're going to react at some time. But instead of reacting 8 out of 10, you now only react maybe 2 out of 10. Then it's 1 out of 10. And then you have people who are called the untouchables, who were known back in times as the Dravidians, southern India. They were untouched by things in society and people, family. Doesn't matter. They didn't let anything affect their sympathetic and somatic nervous system, or what they call the soma body. They knew their mind was connected to their body, and their body was connected to their mind. So they were very extremely aware, high self-awareness of anything and everything that occurred that was planned or out of nowhere, the element of surprise didn't matter. This is where we derive from. Like I always tell people all the time, we derive from an origin of telepathic and telekinetic people, which means we didn't even speak as much. We didn't even talk as much. There was no need for all that. You were speaking through mind, not through the mouth and the voice box and the vocal cords. We weren't speaking through this. We were speaking through this, through the heart, and through the mind. So people yelling, screaming, arguing, conflicting, putting hands on each other, fighting. That is a degression process, but it is what it is. This is all prophesized. Even out here in the Olmec, in the States, by the indigenous people as well, the Olmecians or the She people, in the tablet called the Cascajow block. And that's just one of the prophecies that all this was being prophesied. They knew we were going to trickle down to people who talk too much, who act too much, can't remain still. Responsibility, last but not least, under the list of responsibility means being able to keep the identity at bay. The identity at bay. That's what responsibility means. Being able to keep the identity or your identity at bay. For what reason? To have the identity sooner or later acknowledge the entity it derives from. For what? In order to realign its hidden imbalanced energies. Like I always tell people in my classes, my students, my trainees, energy, entity, identity. So when you get caught in identity, you lose focus of your entity nature, which your identity derived from. Because you take the word, you take the letters ID off of it, because there's no identifying it. You came from an entity. An entity degressed into an identity. But once you no longer react, the identity doesn't play anymore. It subsides to where it came from, which is the entity. When the identity ceases and you come back to the entity nature that you truly are, that entity will show you all the energy imbalances that you had within your system. It's graduation mode. Now, the word accountability. We touched upon responsibility. Let's quickly touch upon the word accountability. To become accountable for your shit, for your imbalances. Become accountable for them. What does accountability mean? Accountability means accountability, the ability to keep account, the ability to keep account of your nonsense, of your imbalances, which means able to keep record. That's what account is. You're able to keep account. You're able to keep record of your mishaps, of your reactionary behavior. You're able to keep account. You're able to look back at the files, at the documents. You're able to look back at the records. You're able to keep count, to keep account and to keep count on how many times you may have became reactive. Remember, reaction and reactive is radiative. It's like radiation. Becoming a reaction and radiation, they're also synonymous to each other. This is why you become very toxic when you become very reaction. Become this reactionary thing. And when you're in reaction mode, you're in radiation mode. And you're not really causing any radiation to others like that to that degree, especially if they're not reacting back to you. You're causing radiation to your own cells and your own light. You're not becoming illuminated, you're becoming radiated. There's a difference to that as well. You become toxic and a poison to your own system. Every time you yell, scream, raise your voice in some manner in reaction mode, this was metaphysics. You shut down your immune system for a period of 3 to 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours. You shut down your immune system every time you raise your voice, you yell, or you scream at your mates or at anybody. But most of my videos are based upon relationship based because, like I said, that's where people are most susceptible, can become quickly triggered, can see their greatness when they're at their worst. Being accountable or accountability means able to stop and pause. Stop and pause. Stop and pause. Stop yourself in your tracks and pause your thoughts. Stop yourself in your action and pause and view your thoughts. In metaphysics, over 10 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, they taught us, are you thinking your thoughts? Or are your thoughts thinking you? Are you thinking your thoughts? Or are your thoughts thinking you? And if you constantly let this thought go over and over again and you become that action, because like I said, every thought seeks to become action, every idea seeks to become an invention. So we know that there's a crossover effect. And we have to be very aware and still and pause when something is trying to cross over. And if we don't know how to stop, pause, be still, and be silent, at those moments when that possession, because that's the reaction is a possession. But we don't know how to be still and pause and apply our exorcist. And our exorcist is awareness to exercise us out of that potential possession. If we don't have that, things go away, things go astray. Accountability also means able to access the now and the moment. And it's not really being able to access it. You are in the now and you always are in the moment. There is no getting to a now or getting to a moment. You can't get somewhere that you are always at. Just like I always tell people, you can't get healthy. There's no such reason, no such thing as getting healthy. You are healthy. What are you doing to interfere, distract, and disrupt your health? We do things to interfere with it. We can't get healthy. There's no such thing. You are healthy. What are you doing to distract its nature? It's the same thing. You can't be in the now, be in the moment. You are a now intelligence, and that is always within its moment, always within the moment. What are you doing to take yourself out of it? What are you letting distract you? It could be your own thoughts. Most of the time it is. And when you keep acting on these same thoughts, that's also a cyclic nature. So acting on these same thoughts and becoming an action or a reactionary to these same reoccurring thoughts, the same reoccurring thoughts, also creates the sickled cell within the body. That's how the sickled cell creates itself, through you acting on the same damn reoccurring thoughts and turning it into an action and keeping it present, keeping it visible, keeping yourself vulnerable. Your health vulnerable. Your psychological, emotional, and physical health becomes vulnerable. Every time you maintain that which is visible. This is our science. This is our seance. Accountability, ability to keep account, is also means to stop in your tracks and look back at your tracks to see if you walked off the track at any time. This is accountability, being ability, the ability to keep account, to stop in your tracks, look back at your tracks, and to see if you may have walked off your path or walked off your tracks at any time. That takes, once again, a lot of stillness, a lot of silence, self-reflection, self-awareness, so on and so forth. This is just how it goes here. It's how it is. There's a divine order to things. And if you're not finding a divine order, then you're just a ball of chaos. You're living by chance rather than by choice. It's not wise, not according to this path, not according to what I teach in my classes and my courses. It's just not. Ask people on the consultations. The website will be up very soon. You can see testimonials from everywhere of what I passed, because this what I passed is what I was passed. And I came from a time where there was no libraries to look for all this and go this. You had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who pointed you somewhere underground somewhere. Make a left over here, make a right at the door, go up them steps, go back down them steps, go in that room, find that book. It's by this author. Purchase that, bring that home. That's the era I come from. I know I may look young because I keep myself a certain way. My spirit, my soul is very old. My spirit is young. My soul is old. There's an understanding behind that as well. But I come from that era. I'm cut from that cloth. I'm cut from that blade. So, I mean, you have all this right now at your access. Plenty of videos on my channel for you to go back and look at certain things where this is a time of what is known as the quickening. One of the elders said this is the times of the quickening. You get information quick, but sometimes you get information overload and you don't know which one to look at and which direct yourself to. Attention and interest, I told you, are your two antennas. Whatever catches your attention and holds your interest and that you have a unknown affinity to is your spiritual path or your heart talking to you. Not entertainment. Like I tell people, I tell students in my class, it's not about entertainment. It's about entering attainment. Not entertainment, but entering attainment. Enter attainment. Get out of entertainment and begin entering attainment. So 3 things: attention, interest, and affinity. These things are how you know when your soul and your heart and your spirit is talking to you, not your brain looking for entertainment and reaction mode. It's a difference. I teach all this in my classes and courses. Next thing is, since the brain records under the word that we're touching upon, which is accountability, the ability to keep account, to keep record. Since the brain records, it's only logical to keep record of your behaviorisms and activities, your past behaviorisms and your past activities. It's only logical to keep record of that which records. Why wouldn't you want to keep record of something that records? It's only logical to do so, right? It makes sense. Am I crazy? It makes sense. So why are you not keeping record of that which records? You're just on replay mode, on a looping mode. You are creating a sickled cell or sickled cells in your body right now, whether whether you know it or not, unbeknownst to you. That is a sick body, which means that derives from a sick mind, a poisonous brain, a toxic system. You can reverse this. You can rewind this. Not this video. I'm talking about your body, your mind. You can rewind your behaviorism. You can rewind things. You can rewind time because the true time machine is in your body. It's in your cells, inside of a place exactly for the chromosome and a couple other places. Time exists in your body. There's no set time out there. You are the time vehicle. You are the time machine. You can rewind time internally, mentally, psychologically. But will you do it? It's another conversation. Next doorway is accountability means to be the quality, acknowledging its quantity. Once again, like I said before, something keeps recording. It records, so it's only logical to keep record of that which records. Which records, if it's recording, that means it's recording 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one argument, second argument, third argument, first conflict, second conflict, third conflict, first violence, second violence, third violence. It's recording this thing. So it's the quality of you to be accountable. Say, I'm going to be accountable now for what the hell I've done and what I do, what I'm not seeing myself doing. But where am I that I'm not seeing what I'm doing, that I need somebody else to remind me of what the hell I'm doing? Where am I? Yes, you're being possessed in those moments. You don't know where you're not present. This is why, once again, responsibility means to be responsive. To respond means to play your now in your moments. And to be accountable is to be in your now fully and to be embrace your moment, the intelligence of your moments, because you're not here right now when you are in reactive mode and reacting so many times, sporadic, electric all the time. Where's the magnetic quality of you to take in your for the entity to tell the identity, calm down, chill out. I know what you're doing. You're trying to hide from me, but I know what you're doing. The identity doesn't like that. It doesn't want to be seen by the entity and doesn't want to be addressed of its energies. It tries to keep you lost and scattered in its possessions. This is the whole point, self-awareness. So accountability means to be the quality, the moment, acknowledging its quantity, the past. For what reason? To see what may be possibly accumulating and gathering itself around you and on you and within you. Underneath the radars of your consciousness and awareness, stopping you from accessing your self-awareness. It hides underneath your consciousness and awareness. It doesn't want you to cross that bridge over into the land of self-awareness. Because once you do that, it dies. Anything dealing with the identity, personality, and the ego, it does not want to die. It fights to live. It's here to try to survive. This is why it's a human trait. The human trait is based on what? Survival. That's what the human body does. So what you think your human thoughts are doing? They're trying to survive. They're in survival mode just like the human body, just like the human being. Like I said in my classes, and I teach this in my classes, get the hell out of survival and begin becoming served. The word serve is inside of the word survival. Take the I-V-A-L off the end of the word survival. Put an ED at the end and change the U to an E to become served. Get the hell out of survival mode. Without both tools of responsibility and accountability applied, without both tools of responsibility and accountability applied on both parties, both man and woman, both mates, both significant others, without the tools being applied by both parties, the relationship inevitably fails. It will inevitably fail. Because applying responsibility and accountability, when he applies responsibility for his own actions and accountability of his own crap, she applies responsibility, being responsible and being accountable of her own nonsense. What this does is it constantly lightens each other's loads. It keeps each other light-footed, light-bodied, and light-minded. And when you're light-footed, light-bodied, and light-minded, you receive light. And this is how you become enlightened. See, it all makes sense. Common sense, making sense, common sense, you activate the super sense. Once again, taught in my classes and courses. And trust me, what I'm saying right now, this improves, this begins to enhance whatever the hell you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. Entertainment, public, your family, in your home, in your society, your area, your zip code, your neighborhood. You're a musician, you're a painter, you're a fitness instructor, you're a poet, you're a songwriter, a ghostwriter, an actor, an actress, whatever you do. Applying these principles that I teach in my classes and my courses and my video on my channel, your reality will immediately begin to shift just like that. Just like that. I don't care what you do. I was an entertainer. I dealt with Universal and Def Jam records back in my day. That's my past. I was a past avatar. And I dealt other things in my past avatars and my past bodies. But that wasn't necessarily my whole path of this life. In this life, not in this life. It was a portion of it, a fraction of it, piece of it. But it wasn't me entirely. It wasn't the entirety of my experience, in this present experience, in this present body. So I'm not just talking from nowhere, I'm talking from somewhere. Um, you want to constantly lighten each other's loads. You want to become light-footed, make her light-footed, make him light-footed, make her light-bodied, make him light-bodied, make her light-minded, make him light-minded. Support that. Support each other to remain floating, hovering, and drifting with each other in the divine suspension of solar love, not spiritual love, solar love. It's a big difference. You want to know the difference between spiritual love and solar love? Contact me. Hold a consultation with me. See what I know. See what I'm talking about. See if I really know what I'm talking about, because I really get busy on my consultations and my classes and courses. Officially. YouTube has YouTube things. They get YouTube things. But to know me more in depth, intimately, mentally, book a consultation. But as many have already done and still are doing in this moment. They see a whole other side of where this light comes from. To know more of a personal aspect of where I come from. It also means we're applying responsibility and accountability. It also means helping each other's transparent nature. For what reason? To be in the most spiritually pristine presence of each other as much as possible. To practice neutralization and letting go or letting be. Practicing awareness to graduate into self-awareness. Self-awareness is where responsibility and accountability is activated and applied. Amias as I am, most importantly though, as you are. I'll see you guys in class and I'll see the rest of y'all in consultations. Until then, keep studying, keep researching, most importantly, keep taking from your experience. 1-0.